So that is the post-game conference where Dable's asked about the Giants having a double-digit deficit in all three games if they played so far at halftime. And then the bigger answer to me was the battle of third down being lost against San Francisco on both sides of the ball. So San Francisco was 7-9 on third down conversions in the first half. The Giants were abysmal, and we know the end of the story from there. So we'll get into the Giants game. We'll get into the Jets game. We'll do previews of the next games coming up. We got some pet peeves going on. We are the Three Angry Giant Fans. This is your host, Scott, Giant Mike, and Cardone. And before we get anything kicked off, let's give a shout out. By the way, I got to give props to all of our listeners. Another good week of downloads. We appreciate all the support you've been giving us this week and throughout the season. Year 4 has been off to a fantastic start, at least on our end, even if it's not for our football team. So here's one out west a little bit. Hello, Jackson, Wyoming. Population 10,760, and it's often incorrectly called Jackson Hole. And that's because they have the resort there that's called the Jackson Hole Resort. It is actually Jackson, Wyoming, because David Edward Jackson spent a winter on the shores of Jackson Lake and named it after himself, both the lake and the town. So we've had several of those over the years.
Yeah, I'm glad you clarified that he named it after himself, because I was going to say, was that just a coincidence that was Jackson Lake? But yeah, it wasn't Jackson Lake when he stayed there.
So he spent a winter by this body of water and said, "This is Jackson Lake, and I am now in Jackson, Wyoming.
I deem this Jackson Lake."
Is that anything like El Paso, where Newman spent a month there one night? I thought it was Jackson Hole. It's just Jackson?
It's just Jackson. It's Jackson. The resort's Jackson Hole. The ski area is Jackson Hole.
I didn't know that. All right.
It's also got some firepower from a Hollywood standpoint. It's the home of Sandra Bullock and Harrison Ford.
Wow.
Why do they call it? It's a ski resort, right? It's a mountain. Why is it a hole? Maybe there's more to this Jackson. I think there's more to this Jackson that we know.
It's a good point, Mike.
Yeah. I'll look it up.
So guys, the Giants-Niners game, I mean, it's one of those primetime games we've come to hate that the Giants play. It's frustrating. We were outclassed. Jones was under massive pressure. Bounces, calls, nothing really went our way. My first impression there is that the gap between the top teams and the Giants is pretty large. It's only week 3. We saw a lot of crazy shit happen around the league this week. The Redskins were, basically shut out until the very end. The Dolphins are still scoring touchdowns as we're going on the air. I mean, the Bears looked like shit again. It's just a crazy year, and we'll start breaking some of that down. But impressions of the game to start.
Well, first of all, it feels like it's been a month since the Giants played because of these Thursday night games. I mean, here we are we're recording on a Monday, this week. Thanks, guys, by the way, for accommodating me there with that. But yeah, you hit on a couple things there, Scott. It's just looking at the stats. Let me just throw these out there. Total yards, 441 to 150. First downs, 26 to 10. Yards per play. Go down to the team stat sheet, and it's embarrassing. This feels a lot, and it wasn't nearly as bad as far as the eye test, because the Giants were hanging in the first half. They actually seemed like they were competing in the first half, and that may just be because it was a short week for San Francisco as well, right? Not just one team, but both teams are coming off a short week. But as the game wore on and you got into the second half, and the Giant defense just couldn't get off the field in the first half, which is just agonizing. The gap between where the Giants are and where these top teams now, San Francisco, I'll throw Dallas in there still, even though they lost yesterday. I know we'll go around the NFL and talk about other games, but right now, guys, the Giants, this is not something that you can just fix, one position here or one thing there, or they just need to tweak this or that. There is a monstrous gap in competitiveness between our New York Giants and where the top teams in the league are, guys. So I don't If we don't, we'll talk about the Seattle game coming up too. But right now, guys, just breaking down that San Francisco game, there's not a lot to break down. And as far as I thought about it as we were getting ready to come on this week, and I was like, what's there to, how much is there to break down as far as X's and O's? We just got our ass whipped again for the second time, really in what is it now, 10 out of 12 quarters, right?
Yeah.
So out of 3 weeks now. So there's not a lot to say, guys. I don't know how to break it down other than just we cannot compete with these top teams. That's it.
No, we can't, and it's evident. And we had a lot of excuses. We kind of got off the air last week with me saying this might be a game we can find a moral victory in, and I almost threw up as soon as I said it. I can't even believe that I said it, but if I see a lot of people taking a moral victory out of this game for the Giants. Oh, they hung in there. Oh, 4 days rest, no Saquon, no Thomas, blah blah blah. But that's fine, and all that stuff is true. It's not untrue. But we had Saquon the first game. We had Thomas the first game. This just isn't changing. Last year seems like an outlier compared to what's going on. We seem right back in Joe Judge town right now, where these games just get started and it's hopeless immediately. And how I can't imagine watching the Cardinals this week against Dallas, how we manage that comeback. I have no idea. The Cardinals are not as bad as advertised. That's turning out to be a bad loss for them to us. That's what that is. That is not, the Giants finding something and beating a team they should have beat. That's a terrible loss for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
To a team that might not be a 5-win team. But yeah, we came on last couple of weeks just picking on Josh Dobbs. That dude can sling it. I watched a little bit of the Eagles like they're on over Cardone's shoulder before I came up here, right? And there's Jalen Hurts. He's bouncing around the pocket, hopping around in there. And the announcers actually said, under pressure, there's nobody near him. I'm like, this is the kind of under pressure I want Daniel Jones to see once in a while. And he throws a perfect strike downfield, which is easy when you're playing pitch and catch with a receiver who's got 10 seconds to get open. I mean, we're helpless, and all the same things are wrong. That's the biggest problem to me. And I don't really blame the Giants or the coaches or who they've drafted. I don't know what curse this is. It's got to be, though. Novak found his curse. Maybe we got to find ours. But it's like, why does the offensive line stink right now? Why? And not just stink, just they look epically bad. There's 3 players on that line I think can play. 4 if you include Bredesen, who's guard, who's hurt. I think he can play too. But overall, they stink. They're terrible. People always say, oh, if they had Barkley. What has Barkley really done since he's been relatively healthy and back? And we blame the offensive line for a lot of that. And I still believe it's the offensive line. But why are people making an excuse for us that Barkley's not there? We got beat 40-0 with Barkley there. As you can tell, I'm beyond myself on this one.
I think people are just frustrated. I mean, as Giant fans, and they're grasping at straws everywhere. I mean, Micah McFadden was about the only guy on the Giants team that was Dexter Lawrence too, that was tackling. And so many shoulder hits. These guys are coming in and banging with shoulders, and the receiver or the guy stays up and they can't take him down. So you have fans after that game, the knee-jerk reaction is Daniel Jones is regressing. The knee-jerk reaction is that Dable and Shane, they better be put on alert. No one was talking immediately about how poorly the defense played and not getting third down stops, because it's not the cool thing to talk about. And when you're listening to the broadcast, I mean, the broadcast is sickening too, because they're making Brock Purdy out to be the best quarterback out there. And the guy's throwing literally 2-yard passes that are getting turned into 20, 25-yard gains on 3rd and 16, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 11. And I came away from that game not being too impressed with Brock Purdy. I thought he manages the game well, but he has a great defense behind him. He just doesn't have to make mistake. If he's mistake-free, the 49ers are more than often going to be in a game or winning a game.
Brock Purdy is what everyone said Eli Manning was. They weren't paying attention, but that's what they said. But yeah, it's, I had nothing against Brock Purdy, but I think I texted you guys during the game. This is the luckiest person in the NFL. I mean, are you kidding me with this setup that he's got?
Yeah.
George Kittle and Debo Samuel and this defense and the offensive line. I mean, man, it's like he lives in the penthouse, man.
By the way, Debo Samuel is a goddamn beast.
He is.
I mean, he's just an Amazon out there, just
But
dragging guys.
do we have to give him the mythical Bavaro comparison?
Of course not.
When
No.
he's just carrying, like, he literally broke one tackle, outran another guy, and then gets dragged down from behind by two guys.
A little bit different. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. They had to go. Al Michaels has to drag out the the Bavaro reference, but yeah, that forget about that. But I mean, as far as the you're right, Scott. There was 3rd and 15, 3rd and 11. There were 2 consecutive drives where the Giants were great on 1st and 2nd down. We couldn't get off the field. Unbelievable that they could not get off the field. 3rd and long. I want to know, guys, when the hell was the last time the Giants threw like that little wide receiver screen pass? And not only does it go for like 18 yards, do we even get positive yards? 3 yards, 4 yards on that. It's amazing. There was the one, I think it was the 3rd and 15, where I forget who it was who even caught it, but you saw the blockers already set up. I'm like, as soon as he was catching the ball, I said, oh shit, he's got it. You know what I mean? Like you can see the play forming, and I'm like, oh shit, he's got a 1st down as he's catching the ball on 3rd and 15. Like he's got it.
Yeah.
Well, when the Giants do that, they're called for a legal man downfield.
Yeah, that's or a pick or OPI. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. That's the other thing. I mentioned that the offensive line just hasn't changed no matter what we've thrown at it, right? So we have a whole new coach here, a whole new offensive system, everything. And it's still receivers catching their ball with the back to the end zone, just draped by defenders. No running after the catch, no nothing. Waller is playing the volleyball game. I don't know what, this team can't change. No matter who you put in the uniforms, these problems that we've had for a decade are still the same. Waller becomes Evan Ingram when he gets on the Giants. I mean, what the hell? Now, the announcers were giving Waller hell about one. He's got to make that play for his quarterback. Absolutely bullshit. That ball was uncatchable.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember the play I'm talking about. If Jones puts that in his belly, it's like a 50-yard gain. But just everything is the same.
Well, I think we're going to hear from Novak a little bit later on this too. Just the fan mentality right now. That, let's say, the what do they call that? Like the psyche of both of our fan bases right now is so defeated, and it's only week 3. I mean, we're all thinking that the season's over. We're thinking things are done, and I think the Giants have a chance to turn around. And I look at the schedule and I see, even if they beat Seattle, they have Miami and Buffalo the 2 weeks after that, and so you're looking at a barrel of, even if you beat Seattle, being 2-2, then 2-3, then 2-4 possibly, and the season can go south. Now, luckily for the Giants, Dallas and Washington lost this week to bring them back to earth. The Eagles are still playing; they're winning at halftime right now. One thing I do want to bring up, guys. I mean, the Niners are a pretty dirty team, top to bottom, and they get away with it. So I do want to talk not just about the Williams play, but there was one that flew under the radar. DJ Davidson was pulled down intentionally after a play by his arm, and then the guy rolls over and lands on his arm to basically wrench it. And then once he's given treatment and he's walking off the field, the same guy walks up and bumps him as he's going off the sideline. There was no flag on the play for that play, and when they showed the replay, I saw it the next day, it was intentional that he was whipped down by the arm. We saw what happened with Williams literally punching a Giant. And after he punched him, they came out the next day, the referees, and said that they could not flag that because it didn't rise to the level of flagrant. Whereas I had always heard it, a closed fist is a closed fist. And they said they could not see an angle of a closed fist versus a slap, which is bullshit because the whole nation saw it.
That was the explanation. I didn't even hear that the next day, Scott. That's what they said.
Yeah, Walt Anderson actually said that the play did not rise to the level of flagrant in their eyes from the angles that they could see.
That's just bullshit. That's just covering their ass. I mean, they just missed they missed that there. I was right. I was always under the understanding that any closed fist, regardless of how hard you throw that fist, closed fist to a guy's grill, that's a punch. Automatic ejection.
And you watch the next time it happens and they eject the guy, the announcer's going to say the same thing they always say. Well, a punch is always an ejection.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to flag that every single time.
Wouldn't have affected the outcome of that game, certainly, but I forgot, but at a minimum, penalize a guy for pulling shit like that, right?
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people are sweeping this under the rug, because they're like 6 seconds left in the half. It doesn't, because my biggest problem with that, believe it or not, is not the ejection. It's and I'm getting close to my pet peeve here, so I got to be careful. It's the fouls on both teams on a play like that.
Mm.
The Giants did nothing on that play except get punched in the face. And the guy even turned around like smiling, like it got him, made him punch me in the face. And yeah, and it's this. I know I see it all over the NFL, so that's not just a Giant issue, but this whole thing with the refs, who suddenly when that's the call, they become very concerned with giving one team or the other an advantage, right? They don't give a shit when it's 3rd and 36 and they call defensive holding on someone who touches a guy as he's running out of the backfield. That's not a big deal. But giving a guy who punches someone in the face a 15-yard penalty is somehow unfair to the game. We gotta. It's crazy.
The consistency of the calls on those illegal contacts and defensive holdings. This is why I go back to the rant that I've had many times. Make it materially impactful to the play or don't flag it, because you get into situations where Kayvon Thibodeau is barely at the 5-yard line, the 5-yard mark, if he's not before that, and they're calling him for a push on a play where the receiver's not going to catch the ball anyway. And then you see the same thing happen on the other side of the ball the very next drive, and it's not called.
Yeah. By the way, the guy that Thibodeau shucked was wide open if they wanted to throw the ball to him. I mean, it didn't impact the route or anything at all. He was wide open. Yeah, I don't get that. I can't even get going down that route.
So, I mean, to me, the bright spot of that game was Micah McFadden hustling, and I thought Breida looked good. But other than that, Graham Gano's our MVP.
Yeah, Graham Gano. Yeah, our kicking game, because I thought Jamie Gillian had he had a nice game.
Yeah,
I mean, he was out there a lot. Six punts, but the guy averaged 52.7 per kick. So yeah, so our kickers were the 2 MVPs. As usual.
I was thinking about this question today. Just think about this, and then we'll let Novak talk.
I'm enjoying this.
If someone told you have to buy the jersey of a Giants player right now, which jersey would you buy?
It's a great question, because I was so close to buying a number 8 back in week 1, and I still defend Jones, because I don't think a lot of it is any of his. So I may still. So my answer would probably still be the same. Probably be Danny Dimes. I think.
I might go with Lawrence, and if I thought he'd be around for more than the next 3 years, I might pick Gano.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was talking about. I mean, these guys who we talk about, who are like the foundation of our team, I don't even know right now if they're going to be around, like a Barkley or Jones. Jones could easily get traded. I know he just signed a kind of big deal, but by the time this year is up, his deal's not going to look like that big a deal because of all the other quarterbacks are signing now.
Well,
but that's another thing I think we'll probably get to later.
I was going to ask Novak later on if he, would take Daniel Jones out of a lot of the quarterbacks that are out there dealing with his situation. I know we'll get to Zach Wilson and the Jets here in a minute, but guys, I don't know how to. I mean, Scott, I don't know if you were ready to sum up the Giant-Niner game. I don't know how much to say about other than there's no point in breaking down the stats. There's, at least in my opinion. I mean, there's just, because although the Giants worked, it seemed like when let's be. By the way. 17, it was 17-12, right? They cut it to, and you know how I feel about going for 2 guys, and Daboll trots it right. He falls right into that line of these guys going for 2. I can't take it anymore, guys. I don't know if we're going to get into it tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, in that situation, I don't mind it. You're down 5. If you get to 2, you're within 3. if you don't and they kick a field goal, you're only down 8. You know, I mean, that's you're still within one score in that scenario. I understand not going for 2 quicker. I have a bigger problem passing up field goals, which I think we'll get into later. But
Yeah.
the idea, I don't mind that going for 2 there, because to me it's either a win-win or a lose-lose either way. I don't think I have a strong feeling one way or another.
I just hate going for 2. I just hate it. I would never do it before the fourth quarter of a game. I don't know what the hell the Cardinals were doing the other night. I don't know what.
Oh, when it was 9-0, Mike, that one? I want
I mean-
explanations to this stuff. I want microphones. I want coaches held to the fire with these decisions. Now, no one's going to ever talk about it, especially that one, because the Cardinals end up winning the game. So it's those ones that just get buried under a mountain of plays in the game where it never you don't unless it's so egregious at the end of a game where everyone's going to remember it, maybe like in the fourth quarter kind of thing. But from quarters 1, 2, and 3, coaches not kicking field goals, coaches going for it on 4th down all over the fucking field, coaches going for 2. It's out of control, guys. I don't know what league I'm watching anymore. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't know what's going on out there, guys. I really don't.
I mean, you're in Dable's situation, right? San Francisco's scoring on 6 out of 8 drives. The fuck is 2 points going to do you? And and you absolutely know that, okay, like Scott just said, okay, if we get this, we're within 3. And even if we don't get it, we're still within 8. By the time you get the ball again, they're going to have scored twice. Like, why does that matter? Just take your point and get out of there.
So I'll save my next comment because I'm going to bring it up a little bit later. But Novak, the Jets-Pats recap. I mean, sitting there, Jets Nation, what is the feeling about Zach Wilson's future? I mean, is there going to be a move made? Is this, I mean, you were texting us about maybe trying to get David Carr, and then as soon as you said that, he gets tossed on his shoulder.
Well, I said Winston, and then now they need Carr.
Well, yeah. You said Winston, yeah.
Yeah. Look, you guys were going through your rant. You seem very defeated, and I'm going, God, I wish I was them. Like, your situation is actually fucking better. Let's be honest. What they have done with Zach Wilson and with this organization from the quarterback perspective is what I would call organizational malpractice. How can you go at the second that Rodgers went down and he was out for the year? They should have been on the phone calling any aging loser veteran off the street to come in for this exact situation. I hate doing a recap and focusing on the quarterback because it seems so surface level fan stuff. Trust me, there's a lot. I watched that whole game twice. Why? I don't know. That slop I had to sit through. I watched it twice. I would love to go deeper, but I can't because it is so glaringly an issue that they have let this kid just twist in the wind. He sucks. I would take Justin Fields over him. This is a stat that blows my mind. So the average QBR in the NFL for a quarterback when there is not a pass rush on him is 70. Not a pass rush. Do you know what Zach Wilson is? 7.
Oh, come
QBR.
on.
Without
no
a pass rush
is a 7. He is statistically the bottom of the worst QBR for 2 straight years. And if he continues this year, he's going to be 3 straight years. 2 straight years hadn't happened since 1970. If he's the 3rd year, it had never have happened. So, and yet our other option is Tim Boyle. Like that, the fact that is their game plan when you see concussions and COVID and all these other things that can happen to these quarterbacks. And your only other option is Tim Boyle and Randall Cobb as our emergency quarterback. I watched the game the second time and I was on 75 to 80% of his dropbacks. There was someone open. Every time, and he was missing them. He's throwing balls into the ground. He's running backwards. He is lost, and this kid needs to get out of there. And Saleh, I've lost complete faith in him now too. He's done. Because you cannot go into the post-game press conference and start saying we believe in Zach. He's improved in his accuracy. He said he's improved in his pocket presence. Lie, and it's like Costanza. It's not a lie if you believe it, right? I think he's trying to convince himself to believe the fucking lie. He sucks. So I want to say a lot more. They should have been better on defense. They only let up 13 points, but the Patriots missed 2 field goals. The Patriots are awful too. So this was just a bad game all around. It was hard to watch. Now 15 straight losses to the Patriots. So Guys, the wound is still fresh for me because it was yesterday. You guys had 5 days to let it sit or whatever it is. This was unbearable, and they have screwed this organization with this quarterback situation.
That game teased the hell out of me. It was something like the over under was 34.5. So I took the over, saying, how the hell could it be under? It was under.
Oh, it can.
Oh, it can, especially with those two offenses. I mean, the Patriots, any Patriot fan listening or is out there, don't go pumping your chest over that garbage win because your team is just as fucking bad. We just have the worst quarterback in the history of the NFL. And so they should be not popping off about this at all. They're awful.
My favorite part is when Mac Jones asked Sauce Gardner what the capital of Thailand was.
What?
Yeah, he punched him in the nuts.
Yeah, but
but after the game, they're probably swapping
cup.
jerseys and signing and whatnot, right?
Oh, yeah.
God.
I talked about the 49ers being dirty. Mac Jones is one of the dirtiest quarterbacks out there. They call it gritty.
Yeah, and who is he? He's Mac Jones. Give me a break.
If it wasn't for Justin Fields, I might be all up over Mac Jones. I'll be honest. He might be my next target once we dispose of Justin Fields.
Well, because he plays for Belichick, he can't get that tag, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's
so,
smart.
So this week, Giants, they played on the Thursday. Now they don't play again until next Monday. So another primetime game. It's against the Seahawks. The Seahawks honestly didn't look that great against the Panthers to start, and then they won going away. Seattle's been up and down. They have a strong rushing attack. Metcalf and Lockett Lockett especially always seems to kill us. They always seem to make plays. But their defense has been inconsistent. If we don't score high 20s, 30 points on them, then we've missed an opportunity here. So I think this is a game where Jones has to get back to throwing the ball downfield. Guys, we didn't try a single target to Hyatt last week. And I understand it. Jones didn't have time. And people that are complaining that, you just got to go back there and throw the ball, just chuck it downfield. They don't understand the game of football because you do that and then you end up throwing a punt interception and everyone's like, why did he throw that ball? So it's a lose-lose situation with the fans.
Yeah, there's another game again. There's no chance for Jones back there. He's again running for his life. I thought they had, like I said, a little bit of a rhythm early on, but as the game went on, just no chance, no hope. In contrast, Scott, it's funny. I was thinking, and this is just a random stat, but I couldn't help. I had to write this one down. So this was amazing. I couldn't believe I was trying to even think about this in a single game. But Tua, I won't even try to pronounce his last name. I don't know how to, but on the Miami Dolphins, of course, right? So this seems to be the magic number, Novak. You just said before, 7. So on what percentage of plays was Tua pressured on of his dropbacks yesterday, would you say? Percentage of plays where he was pressured.
I'm going with 7%.
All right, that's the number. 7.7%. 7.7%. We all saw the highlights of that game. I was watching the ticket on Sunday. Obviously the Giants weren't playing, and so I was watching the quad screen with all the games. I was watching a lot of the Dolphin game just for sheer entertainment, and Tua's sitting back there like it's a fucking 7-on-7 drill, and I just kept thinking. And I know the four of us do this where, like, in the middle of the game, we'll say, like, Giants don't have that play. Giants don't look like this. The Jets don't have that. They don't. It's just you watch the highlights or you watch in-game action of these other teams, and everybody looks better. It just looks more fluid. It just looks like these teams have more going on. It's unreal. Now, Miami's a whole different, but it doesn't even take Miami. I mean, I don't know, guys. But I saw that statistic and I just thought to myself, what in the world is going on with this fucking Giant offensive line? 7.7%. I would take 50% of pressures for Jones.
It was like 17% against the Cardinals. We saw the way that Jones performed in that second half. The other two games have been over 50%.
I don't know, man. So I saw that stat and I just couldn't believe it. And just kept thinking in my head what has to be fixed, what we have to do to improve this line. Because if it doesn't, guys, this season will just go down the drain. We can't it won't matter. Jones will continue not to develop. People won't. We've said as many times on our show here, we don't even know how good this guy is. If he's not good, I think he's good. How can you tell? And our receivers, I want to know these gen stats. Here's another one, and I don't even know if I mentioned this last week, so I may be repeating myself, but what in the world is our separation? Do they keep track of receivers and how much separation they get from the defender? Because we are throwing – Jones has to throw the ball into the size of a fucking keyhole to get a completion. Like, there's no chance of getting anything. The defenders are our receivers, our pass catchers are wearing the defender every week. How can that be? No one has a blown coverage. No one just slips and falls. The turf
ever.
No, never. I see guys rambling around wide open all over the place. Detroit. Then I flip over. Even the fucking Houston Texans are throwing bombs down the field.
That's so true.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
They dropped 37 on the Jags. You got to be kidding me.
I mean, Gardner
the Jags
Minshew
are supposed to win the division by 7 games.
Yeah, not that one.
Yeah. Minshew is has time back there against the Ravens throwing. I can't take it. It's unwatchable, man.
Yeah, like Cardone, I'm not sure where that came from, but you're dead on. I mean, you're just dead on. And I hate, because I feel like I've said this before through the Judge years. I don't want to say the same things all the time, but how has nothing changed at all? How are we still here? I do have some theories about it later on that are a little optimistic. Cardone might not like them, but
I don't like optimism.
But I don't get how, the receiver thing drives me nuts. How these guys, you're right, you're dead on. I mean, you watch guys from other teams, you watch other teams play, and every now and then someone just breaks wide open over the middle on an in, and the quarterback puts it right in his hands, and it's like a 16-yard gain. Every play, our receiver is absolutely draped when the ball gets to him. Every catch is a great one because it's contested. And the thing that drives me nuts most about that, and this, again, I'm going back to other years and I'm bitching about the same things now. If that is the case, how come we can't run the ball? How come we can't throw a screen? How come the deep ball's not open? Why is it all shut down? Every time we played somebody since before Joe Judge was here, it's like we're tipping plays. It's infuriating. I don't know. It looks like the other team has our playbook. Now, I know when Shane got there, I don't know if you guys remember this, but he was concerned about leaks out of the Giants locker room on a multitude of things. He put some people to the test. I remember he gave some people differing information to see which one got leaked to the media, stuff like that. But I'm not saying that. I'm going crazy now. I'm not saying that we're tipping plays, but it's like everything we do is known before we do it. And okay, I understood that when Joe Judge was here, we were about as vanilla and bland as you can possibly get. This guy from Buffalo this was supposed to be totally different, and it's no different. And I know what's handcuffed him is the line play, and the receivers aren't getting any separation. The same thing that handcuffed Joe Judge, probably. But we've changed everything, and it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
So what do you guys see happening on Sunday against the Seahawks? Cardone? Or Monday, I should say. Monday,
yeah, sorry. Monday night.
You alluded and by the way, it's the only Monday night game next week, so you don't have to deal with this
back to a
split
single Monday
screen
night game
bullshit.
Get everyone tuned in.
Yeah, it's funny. It's looking. It feels like it's still far. Right, it's a week away still. Looking far ahead. But Seattle to me is a weird team. They're hard to figure out. I've been saying it for a couple weeks now with Seattle. They're just weird. I don't know how. I feel like they can beat anybody, but they can lose anybody, and you could probably say that about a lot of teams. But I'm just glad that we're playing a team that's among the bottom in defense in terms of yards against. I looked today to see where Seattle ranked defensively. I knew they weren't great, and they are tied for third worst in the NFL in yards against defensively. So at home we have 12 days to prepare for this Seattle team. Seattle's got to come across the country. If we can't put together a good, solid offensive game plan this week, guys, then when will we?
Yeah.
When will we? So the offense better show some life against the Seattle defense, which is very suspect. Now, on the other side of the ball, Geno, we know about the Seattle offense. They can score, they can move the ball. I'm certainly worried about being able to stop these guys. I don't know how we're going to cover. Like Lockett, you're right. Lockett's like a Mount Crushmore kind of guy with the Giants. I don't know. He worries me more than even Metcalf. And Geno Smith. I mean, the guy, he's so. I won't give my score prediction right now. We'll do that before we end the night. But what I'm looking for, Scott, is definitely at least we're playing a team that doesn't have a dominant defense for for a week coming off of San Francisco, which may put them up at the top top of the league in defense possibly. There's a couple teams up there, but San Francisco's right there. So thank God I have hope that we can move the ball and score points against this team. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, I'm going to ask Novak this. Novak, guess who's going to play against the Giants on Monday night for Seattle?
Jamal Adams.
Jamal Adams is going to make his
finally coming
return.
Back. Huh?
He's going to finally come back. So you watch. That'll give an infusion to the defense where he's probably going to have 35 tackles and 2 interceptions and a touchdown.
You mean the guy that we passed on Pat Mahomes for? That guy, that Jamal Adams? Great.
That's Jamal Adams.
Of course he's coming back this week. Of course.
He won't make an impact. Don't worry. He's going to tear his ACL in the second play.
Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree a lot there with Cardone. This is actually a defense that, they're going to try because everyone has to try against the Giants. They've seen how much pressure bothers us and how generally easy it is to get pressure on us. So they're going to try. We have got to burn it. We've got to burn it. If the first play of the game isn't either something deep over the top or some kind of wide receiver screen or something behind the line of scrimmage, I'll go nuts because this is what Seattle is going to, every team we play is going to try because they've seen it, so you should know that coming in. And if they try to hit a draped wide receiver on a 4-yard in on the first play of the game or hand it up to Barkley into a 10-man front, what are we doing?
If Barkley plays.
If Barkley plays, correct.
Now they've reclassified it to say he now has a high ankle sprain, which so were they giving false information before, or did he truly have a high ankle sprain and they didn't know it? So
doesn't matter to me. Can he play or not? It's time for these guys to get back, get tough again, put some tape on it, shoot it up, and get back the hell out there. Come on,
guys. I think it's because we got the Dolphins and the Bills at the 2 games after this that I'm optimistic. I'm going with the Giants winning this game 27-23.
Oh, we're doing the score picks.
Oh, we got to the score because we're doing the preview. So
all right.
I'll go to Mike next since
So on defense, this team scares me because Geno Smith somehow now he's not a whole bunch different than what we see out of Josh Dobbs. He can throw a pretty ball. He can put a ball on a dime if you don't get pressure on him. And we've shown no ability to get pressure on anybody. So with, this defense, again, it's sort of the same thing as I just said about the offense. If you're not getting any pressure on the quarterback, where's the coverage? You can't suck at both things. You can, but we do. But why? How? If I know Wink Martindale, but if that blitz isn't getting home, you have to stop doing it. You have to stop because you are going to get killed with this back end. So I have to see more. Now I'm going to contradict myself a little later, but I have to see more right now. I'm going to pick 23-17 for Seattle.
Yeah, this is a hard one to pick. But by the way, I want to mention last week, I know several of us were close, I think, to the score to predict this predicted score last week. I predicted 31-10 Niners, and the score was 30-12. So I was off by a total of 3 points.
Yeah,
last week's Niner game. So I thought about that after the fact. I'm like, oh yeah, we kind of knew what was going to happen there. This one, guys, I don't know. I mean, I thought about it today, and I'm like, shit, I don't know. I feel like it's a flip of a coin. I don't have a lot of confidence in the Giants winning. But at the same time, I can see them winning. It's so weird, this game. If I don't pick them to beat Seattle, I know I'm not going to pick them for at least another couple weeks. So without giving great analysis, Mike, you just did a good job of breaking the game down on how you think it's going to go. I do see the Giants being able to put together at least a couple drives, getting some points. They got to get obviously touchdowns when they get down in the red zone. I swear I'm picking the Giants just because if I don't, I won't be able to pick them for forever. But I can't see them putting up a lot of points. Would you say, Scott, 27-23? I don't want to pick the same kind of thing, but I was thinking like 27-24, Giants, just for the fact that I want to pick my team here.
Novak.
I hate to admit, I think this is a tough spot for you guys, and I think I agree with Cardone. Seattle is one of those teams. He's 100% right. They could go out and lose to anyone and beat anyone. I watch a little bit of their game this week. They have a lot of weapons that no one's really talking about. And that seems to be they're not the 49ers obviously, but they have those types of a lot of offensive weapons, and Geno Smith is better than Purdy. I think Seattle takes this 131-20.
Oh, lots of points of that. Yeah, and I will say this: watching Kenneth Walker play, as long as he stays healthy as a running back, he's very underrated. He's an underrated running back.
Yep.
So moving to the Jets, I hate to tee this up because it's the Jets playing the Chiefs, and I don't know if this will be a swift recap or not, but
look, we're just gonna have to win this game and shake it off. I mean, that's the way it's just gonna have to be. Now, look, I've been teeing that one up, and I was supposed to say we're supposed to lose this and shake it off, but I fumbled that one. The Jets are going to get their asses handed to them on national television. That's just what this is. This one is going to be an absolute disaster from the kickoff. It's just give me any sort of reason to believe that they have any chance in this game. This is like you guys with the 49ers, but worse.
I actually may have one, Novak, if you don't, I don't want to jump in on your comments here.
No,
but,
go for it.
Well, the fact that, and I hope we get into this kind of stuff, because if Taylor Swift shows up, then the Jets may have a chance. And the reason why is because today on one of the networks, I won't even name which one, there was a fucking question that was being legitimately answered by Richard Sherman. And the question was on the screen: will the reigning Super Bowl champs remain focused? With a question mark, referring to if that Taylor Swift is at the game. So my response was she walking around fucking topless and I didn't see it like on the field? Like, then maybe you might be distracted. Then maybe you might be unfocused if you're one of the players, if that's what's going on. If she's if she's in back of the end zone like topless, with Kansas City pom-poms joining the cheerleaders back there. Like, this is a legitimate question that was on, like, that analysts are analyzing today. That's unbelievable.
Does it surprise you anymore, though? Let's be honest.
No, it doesn't.
I will give you hope here, Novak, because the Chiefs lost to the Lions in week 1, and they are prone to play down to the opponent at times when the supporting cast isn't playing all that well. And right now, I think Mahomes is making a lot out of what he's got, but he's not getting a solid contributor from that entire group. Kelsey's solid, but he's, his year so far has been down from what he's used to. Kadarius Toney's basically useless. I mean, Mahomes has to manufacture everything. So if the Jets can somehow find a way to keep this close, my question to you is going to be more of the vein, sort of like we were talking about with some of the Giant fans taking a moral victory out of the game against the 49ers. Will there be any sort of moral victory against the Chiefs if you keep it close, or is this just you lost, and move on?
Moral victories can't happen now. The season's over at 1-2. We play the Broncos the following week, which after we lose to the Chiefs, if we don't win that, then we got the Eagles and the Dolphins, and I mean it's just going to snowball. There's no moral victory left in the tank for this group. There's not, because Saleh has lost all of that good vibes that he had last year. They can't. I think they're going to get their asses handed to them, and I'm going to say 42-10. I mean, I just think this is going to be an epic blowout. I really do. And I think this defense, who said they were the 85 Bears or can compare themselves to that. They're getting, and I'm fine to admit I'm wrong. I thought this defensive line was going to be incredible. They're getting no pressure in all 3 games. They haven't gotten great pressure. A little bit against Josh Allen in week 1. They're not doing that. I don't see that happening here. I think this is going to be an epic beatdown.
And we didn't even mention this as Giant fans. I mean, we sort of skirted around it because of the way that the game went. We didn't really break it down all that much, but the Giants' defensive line and defensive ends have been abysmal so far. We did get a couple of sacks this last game, but other than that, our pressures and sacks have been way down. So,
and one more thing, who looks like they must be a Swiftie? Zach Wilson, right? I mean, that kid looks like he's exactly a Swiftie.
Yeah. A Swiftie.
That's what they call it. The good thing the Dick isn't here, because remember he went to the concert. He would probably be preoccupied with what she's doing up in the luxury box.
I guess as Travis Kelce is running a route and as Mahomes, because Mahomes was asked about it, as well. I guess in the middle of the play, they're thinking like, holy shit, like I got to make this play because Taylor's watching me from the from the suite up there. So I better make a catch. I better make a good throw and a catch. This is what these guys are thinking. This is Yeah. Well, can they remain focused? That was the question.
I think they can't. I don't think they can. Taylor Swift is going to be the downfall of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
So, all right, I need scores out of Scott and Cardone for the Jets game there.
Cardone.
Yeah, this is going to be a no contest here, but Novak went with the full blowout, 40 burger plus, which is what they just laid on the Chicago Bears and Justin Fields and the boys there. So I'll just go a little bit closer just because, I don't know, maybe the Jet defense rises up a little bit on a that's Sunday night, right? Novak, yeah, Sunday night game. I have 34-13 in my head. That's so just a solid 3-touchdown win, a 21-point win, 34-13 Chiefs in a no contest game. I think maybe late in the game, the Chiefs, they just call off the dogs a little bit maybe and just, I don't know. That's my score.
I have 31-13. I don't believe I said mine either. Yep.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is I have 28-13.
Lucky
We're all
13
right around there.
So we all got, let's see, hang on, let's recap. Scott 28-13, Cardone 34-13, Mike 31-13, and Novak 42-10.
There you go.
Love it.
For the record, hang on one second, Scott. I got some housekeeping to do. Scott, you are 5-1 on the year in these games, and the rest of us are 4-2.
Which Scott?
Oh, I'm sorry. Cost is our gracious host is 5-1.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not bad.
And I have the Giants winning this week. I just want that noted.
God, so do I.
So it was an interesting week. Fortunately, both the Cowboy and the Colorado hype came crashing down to earth. Guys, the Cardinal game to me is a microcosm of what I see happening around the league. So Cardinals win, and then Monday morning everyone's like, "Whoa, Cowboys! Beaten by the Cardinals. Are the Cardinals better than we think?" When the week before the Giants beat them, and it was like, it's just the Cardinals. So the way these guys handle these defeats, I mean, and again, some of this lays with Mike McCarthy. The Cowboys went for it on 4th and 4 inside the 20 of the Cardinals with a whole quarter left to play, down by 8. Now, why not take a field goal there, cut it to 5, and then you go ahead with a touchdown? No. They go for it on 4th and 4, don't make it, turn the ball over. Cardinals immediately come down and score. This is the kind of play calling I just don't understand. We saw with the Chargers, too. The Chargers, went for it on 4th down from their own 28, up 4 points against the Vikings. By all rights, they should have lost that game. And then all I heard after that game was, well, if you break down the probabilities and the math, it was the right decision. Bullshit, it was the right decision. They got damn lucky to win that fucking game.
Analytics, that's what I heard. The analytics, which I'm really becoming to despise that word, the analytics. It's what analytics? 4th and 2 on your own 25-yard line or whatever the fuck, right, Scott? Whatever it was, 28, 20. What does it matter? Doesn't matter. You're on your own 20-something with a minute something left, whatever. Kick the fucking ball. Make him go 80 yards. You're up by 4. It's unbelievable. At that point, I wanted the Chargers to lose just so that coach would have to answer questions. He should be. That's a fireable offense. They did get lucky there. They really did. I mean, the ball battled around and the Chargers got the tip ball interception there in the end zone. That's a fireable offense in my opinion, guys. Going for that right there and not getting. It's unbelievable.
And if they would have lost, they would have wasted a Justin Herbert effort of 40 of 47 for 300 and some yards, 400 yards. Yeah.
I think it was over 400, but yeah.
The media and the fans have given coaches the license to do this now. Cardone's dead on. This used to be fireable. So fireable that it was unimaginable that anyone would do it. Not even 5-6 years ago. Right. Unimaginable from your own 28. If it was fourth and a fingernail you punted, everyone knew it. The risk does not even come anywhere near the reward. So who says if you get that you don't just go three incomplete passes after that punt anyway? There is no risk reward there. It's stupid, but not one person would hold them accountable for it. The media loves it. The talking heads on TV love it. The fans love it. Apparently, if I'm a Charger fan, I don't, but they've just been given this license where it won't cost them their job anymore. And, the NFL in total, boy, I'm dancing now on my pet peeve. The NFL in total who would have ever thought this could have happened? The NFL every week becomes more and more like Madden. We got fucking teams scoring 70 points now, guys. We got nobody punting. We got nobody kicking field goals. Madden mentality has taken over football.
On top of the fact, these kickers and punchers are really good. I mean, they don't miss, and they can pin them within 10 yards. And no one talks about the kickers and punters. They are really good, all of them.
That's another great point, Novak. I'm glad you brought up because I was trying to sneak that in somewhere. Where remember when a 53-yard field goal used to be like maybe you had a 33% chance, maybe 1 in 3, maybe even 1 in 4 went through across the league. 53, 54, 55 yards. They weren't even attempted because they were too far away. Like no coach even attempted 50. Now everyone's kicking 55, 57, 59 yarders. What the fuck is going on?
The guy with the half foot, Dempsey, was like the leader for like 50 years or something.
And then also, and punts are the same thing. We're all the same age, basically. Like I remember when like a 43, 44-yard punt or net was like, that was the average. Guys are hitting punts 60 yards left and right. What is going on?
Exactly.
I mean, here's what bothers me. A team, well, now you get the fucking ball at the 25 when with a touchback, right? So you get those extra 5 yards. Have you noticed this, guys? A team will go 3 and out. They punt the ball, and the other team's fucking backed up to like the 8 on what? They didn't get a first down, and the other team's getting the ball on the 8-yard line.
Yeah.
It used to be you got a 3 and out. You were getting the ball on your own 40, maybe. Teams are back inside the 8-yard line.
Well, then tack on the holding to everyone, right? To tack on the half the distance on everyone.
And that's going 3 and out with the extra 5 yards, which seems like a mile when it used to, rather than the 20. 3 and out, I'm like, well, you'll get good field position. I'm like, every team, like, why are we on the 9? The team didn't get a first down.
I'll tell you what, guys, a lot of suicide pools were broken this week with Jacksonville losing, Baltimore losing, Cowboys losing. So I thought I had Baltimore, and I was so pissed off until I actually fired up the computer and looked, and I had Seahawks. So I did survive in advance this week, but
I survived. I'm playing the Follow the Fields game, so I survived again.
Follow the Fields.
That's how I'm playing my survivor pool.
I can't believe we haven't gotten to that disaster yet tonight. But
I don't want to throw them under the bus too much yet, but because I don't think they're a great team. I think they're a team like the Cardinals has been for years. Like remember like the mid 2000s up until like recently, the Cardinals every year, they're a team to watch. Oh, the Cardinals are a team to watch every year. Well, you know who the new team is that because they have Trevor Lawrence is Jacksonville. You know, I told you guys about the SI prediction where Jacksonville was going to win their division by 7 games. Well, Jacksonville lost at home and Duval to Houston. No, to Houston. To Houston.
Yeah.
Badly.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at that team and you say they have the parts, but it's not coming together. And I don't know if they have the parts or if that's a media creation. I'm to the point now where I just don't know some of these things.
Yeah,
I don't know.
If you don't pay close attention, if you're not a fan and you don't pay close attention, you don't know. All we know is I've become completely untrustful of it for obvious reasons. But if you're not a fan of that team, you can't trust what you hear. You can't, because everyone's given everyone a blowjob for doing nothing. And that's the state of announcing and sports media right now is, whatever. Trevor, listen, from what I can tell, Trevor Lawrence has been great. He struggled his first year like rookie quarterbacks tend to do, and he's been getting significantly better every year in groups. Now, they just laid a big egg. That's what I know. That's the only thing I know. I'm not going to listen to the media tell me, all I know is when they predict something and it doesn't happen, they act shocked.
Yes.
That's the
right.
Yep.
Again, we haven't learned enough or watched enough football in our lives. What's the old saying? Any given Sunday. Except, of course, if you're the fucking Giants or Jets, because I was thinking about this. The Houston Texans, who I know nothing about, right? I mean, other than CJ Stroud and I don't know who's on this team. I really don't. But guys, think about this. Like, they went on the road into Jacksonville, a heavy dog, I'm sure. I don't know what the point spread is. What doesn't matter. And they rose up and played a good, solid NFL road game, got a big win, double-digit win. I was watching the highlights of that game. They looked fired up on the sidelines. Whatever was going on in that week or that locker room or the sidelines, something was going on where Houston just decided to play a good game. And it seems like Jets and Giants can't fucking do this for 4 quarters.
No.
Giants showed up for 2 quarters against Arizona, thankfully. Otherwise, we'd be sitting here 0-3. But guys, my point here is just simply teams rise up. Arizona rose up yesterday. Why? Because they're professionals, just like everybody else. Every one of these teams has professional football players on them. So when I have to hear how Micah Parsons, that arrogant asshole, did you hear his comments today about he won't give credit to Arizonans. He won't just say, man, we just got beat yesterday by a team that outplayed us. He says we got to stop playing down to the opponent. Dak Prescott, that asshole, saying, he's like, oh, the media, you're the one who put us up here on the mountain. Hope you got what you wanted, blah, 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 this and that. These assholes can't even, when the media, when they're held accountable and they just got beat by another team, Arizona just played with, we've talked about this many times, guys. A lot of it is game planning. A lot of it is X's and O's, execution, all those things. But there are some times where there's games where teams come out flat and the other team just comes out and brings a fervor. And when you do that in this league, you can beat teams that you're not supposed to beat. And that's what happened with the Arizona Cardinals yesterday. And that's exactly why I was pissed off. Where was Stephen A. yesterday saying about, well, I was against the Arizona Cardinals when Daniel Jones and the Giants came back and whipped their ass in the second half? What the fuck was he saying yesterday? I didn't, or today, I didn't hear Stephen A. saying anything about that. No, right? Every week but again, when you look at that, well, why can't the Giants rise up against the Seattle Seahawks and just play a game where holy shit, the Giants just beat the Seahawks by fucking 14 points. Here we are, we're tiptoeing around it I hope they win, and I don't know, it's gonna be a tough game, and Seattle's good, and this, that. Fuck that. Why can't you just be I'm agreeing with my statement by saying all that, because that's what I'm thinking. I watch in fear and nervousness and just doubt. When I watch this New York Giant team as a fan, I watch in fear of just losing and not being able to. It's amazing.
Same thing. And most teams, you lose your best player, and everywhere the fan base goes, especially Jets and Giants. We lost Rodgers, just total despair. No one's talking about how about the Browns? They lose Nick Chubb and the most disgusting injury I've probably ever seen. 6 days later, they beat the Titans 27-3.
Beat the snot out of them.
Yeah.
Right? Why can't we do that? Why can't we rise above an injury or a loss or a player? All of a sudden now that's because, well, without so-and-so, they're not. Same thing with you guys in Barkley, right? You lost Barkley. Oh, they're going to go in the tank. But they lost Chubb. He's clearly their best player. I don't care what anybody says.
I mean, it's an awesome point. And I watched both of those games, the Cardinals and the Texans. And the thing about those games was those two teams went out and won that football game. It wasn't like a bunch of silly, goofy plays that got them in position and then they just held on for dear life. They went out and took it to the Cowboys and to the Jaguars. Both times from buzzer to buzzer. You name for me the last time the New York Giants went out on the field against a team they shouldn't beat and just whoop their ass from buzzer to buzzer.
You got to go back a long time.
No.
Yeah.
Remember we were saying that.
Same with the Jets.
Yeah. The Giants. Remember their double-digit wins, double-digit wins since 2016. You've had only 7 of them, and all of those were like 10 or 11-point wins, where the game was maybe in the balance kind of thing. No, it's been it's unbelievable how they can't put together. There's not a single game where everything just kind of falls into place on all facets of the game, and you just whip somebody, by 3 touchdowns. I'm like,
and it's not
like it's
the thing. Probably all those games you're talking about, Cardone, had in common was they were games that were probably even, or we were supposed to win, right?
Yeah.
When are we going up against a team that on paper is better than us?
Ironically,
and just going in and beating them 28-17, 28-20.
Yeah, I was going to say,
when is that happening? That's not happening.
A couple years ago, we did beat the Seahawks at home with Colt McCoy as our quarterback, or in Seattle.
It was in Seattle.
But in that game, we had to hold on for dear life as Russell Wilson had a chance with a Hail Mary at the end. So we did not whip them.
That was one of the biggest fluke wins. That's what I mean. That's the difference, right? Anybody can get lucky and get a couple of lucky bounces during a game and beat a favorite. But these games that Cardone's talking about this week, the Cardinals, the Texans, the Browns, maybe they weren't as big underdogs, but those are all great examples of teams that just said, no, I don't care that we're 7-point underdog, 9-point underdog. We're going to go out and win this game. And I know it doesn't happen a lot in the NFL. It's why they're 9-point underdogs. I get it. But the Giants, it happens weekly in the NFL. And that little ball never falls on the Giants doing it or the Jets doing it that I can tell. Like, honestly, what are our chances of going into Buffalo and just leading the whole game and just making a couple of really awesome defensive stops, getting 2 turnovers? What are the chances of that happening?
None.
It's not going to happen.
None. That's a difference. So the Giants were dogged by what against the Niners on Thursday? 12, maybe 12 and a half, whatever it was, or was it even less? No, I think it was even less than that. I think it was 10 and a half. I think it was 10 and a half. All right, maybe I'm thinking Arizona. Arizona was dogged by 12 and a half, I think, to Dallas. So there it is. The Giants dog, no fucking chance whatsoever. No hope. We know that they're not even going to be in the game against the Niners. And I wasn't expecting Arizona to win that game yesterday going into it. I was definitely one of those like, oh, man, I'd be shocked if Arizona wins. But as soon as you see the game starting to happen, it's not shocking anymore. I can't stand these analysts that get paid to do this, talk about this shock factor. How have you not watched enough of this stuff? Once the game started occurring and then you see what's happening, it's like, oh, yeah, this is Dallas is in a dogfight here and they may lose. Like you kind of saw that in the first half. Like they may lose this game. And here's the thing. Staying on Dallas just for a second, and they talked about it today, and they were bussing and throwing Dak Prescott under the bus because their guys is perfect example of these fucking quarterbacks when they need a game-winning drive and the game's on the line, or you're down by even 2 scores. Who's the guys that are really bringing your team back? And that's what Dak Prescott. When has he done that? I can't really remember off the top of my head, or when Prescott's been down by more than 2 scores and he's able to just put the team on his back. That's why he sucks. And that's why I'm not afraid of Dallas if they, as we get deeper in the season in terms of not the Giants. I'm saying we can't hold their dick, but I'm saying like for playoffs and stuff and then making a Super Bowl run.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they were down 2 scores and they got down into the red zone. He failed. They actually got the ball back. Took him back down there again and throws an interception. Now, the interception play, that game was over anyway. But they still would have needed a touchdown and an onside kick recovery. But
Had
being
Daniel
a Giant fan, I'm
Jones-
watching that and I was expecting that to happen. I'm
Had
like, I know
Dan-
the Cowboys are winning this game.
Had Daniel Jones thrown that same ball that Dak
Oh
did,
my
he would
God,
be
yeah, that
catching
was-
endless shit for it.
Yeah, that was a bad ball.
He'd be run out of town. Triple coverage. That ball
Triple
had no chance. Triple coverage.
You know, they showed an angle today. Not only was it triple coverage, but even if somehow he got it over the guy who intercepted it, the two other guys were going to either catch it or break it up, or they had zero
It had no
chance
chance. Yeah.
of catching it. Ball.
Yeah.
Novak, any pet peeves this week?
Yeah, so my pet peeve is going to be about something specific to the Jets, and it's the CBS network. I am so sick and tired of the Jets being the butt of all jokes. And there were two things that I noticed when I watched the game the second time around, as I made myself do, that no one probably picked up on but me, and I'm really fucking pissed about that they did this. So they go to halftime, the Jets are, just futile, this terrible half or whatever, and they go to the desk and it's, Boomer Esiason and whoever. And kind of like you guys have your backgrounds behind you. Normally at the halftime show, they've got like a player from the Patriots and a player for the Jets behind, like on the screen, right? Just, freeze frame type thing, right? Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson. You know what Jet they had behind them? The punter.
Rodgers?
Thomas Morstead was the guy
Punter.
that they
Come on.
freeze framed behind them. And I'm like, okay, I get it. They punted like 7 times. They didn't do anything on offense. You got to jab us with that at the halftime show.
Come on.
And then the second time I noticed, I'm watching the game the second time. When I saw it the first time, didn't think anything of it. They get a touchdown, right, to cut the score to, I think, 13-10, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going, okay, we're back in this game, whatever. What song do you think they played going into break right after the touchdown?
Sweet Caroline?
Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi.
They're
Jeez.
taking shots.
Now they're taking shots at the Jets. And they wouldn't do this to any other team. Trust me, they would not. But because it's the Jets and because they're pathetic and because they're a laughingstock, they had to do those 2 jabs. And there's probably more that I'm not catching on. Romo had to say with 3 minutes left in the third quarter, well, at least Zach hasn't thrown an interception. Like, come on. I'm tired of the jabs. It's my pet peeve. It's the Jets. But come on. That's mine.
Those are pretty brutal. I mean, that is, you're right. I don't think there's a lot of teams that they do that to.
No.
I haven't watched Fox enough this year. Are they still doing the cartoon character guys when they put it up on the screen, or is that a thing of the past?
No, it's up there. It's still there.
Great.
Yeah. All the announcers have their own cartoon person too. I don't know if you noticed that this year. When they introduce the announcers at the beginning, they have a cartoon. Yeah.
Mike, pet
Yep.
peeves?
Yeah, my pet peeve this week, and I don't know if it's ever been a pet peeve. I know we've talked about it before a lot. And that's how the media just refuses to acknowledge who you've played. They only do it when you lose, right? Or I'm sorry, they only do it when you win, right? So when you win, it's like, oh, it was the Cardinals, though.
Mm-hmm.
So that's we talked about that last week. But the Giants have been through a gauntlet of a start to the season. We played 2 of the best defenses in the league. I still don't stack them up against some people in the AFC, but Dallas and San Francisco, I mean, 2 out of the first 3 weeks we're playing essentially, in all likelihood, who's going to be in the NFC Championship game, or at least it looks that way right now. I have my suspicions about Dallas, but nobody talks about that. They like to just talk about the numbers as if they happen in a vacuum, as if the Giants are playing the same team every week and they just can't get their shit together, right? So, like San Francisco, right? They have played Pittsburgh, the Rams, and the Giants. That's been their schedule so far. And what do? I'm sitting here right now saying they're probably going to be in the NFC Championship game. I'm not doing that based on their play. No, I'm lazy. I just looked it up. So I mean, if you're going to be in the NFC Championship game, you should be 3-0 after those 3 games. Dallas has played the Giants, the Jets, and the Cardinals, and they got beat by the Cardinals. And they played the Jets, as we know, without Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that didn't look like such an easy start for them when the year got started, but it ended up being pretty much a cupcake walk so far. And they're 2-1. They're 2-1 in there.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia, Patriots, Vikings, Buccaneers. That's been their start to the year so far. I mean, these are teams that the Giants could beat. These teams on these other lists, even with the start that I've watched. I think we can play with the Buccaneers. We can play with the Vikings. We can play with the Patriots. We can play with the Jets now. We beat the Cardinals. I would think we could play with Pittsburgh. So those are all now, but nobody says, well, the Giants, kind of a rough start there. They've played Dallas and San Francisco. Maybe they're going to get their act together. But it doesn't get any easier. Looking ahead, as we've all documented very well, we got Buffalo and Miami on the horizon here. So it's not going to get any easier. But the part where I said earlier, I'm going to say something that's a little optimistic, so I wanted to warn Cardone that might be coming, is this is the type of start. I mean, the Giants could easily start 1-0 something or 2-0 something by the time they get to that Week 10 game with the Jets. But this is a team that could make a run at the second half of the year because they are going to have seen everything. They're going to have seen the best of the NFL, both conferences. They're going to have played in some tough football games. And in the second half of the year, when they get into games against, Atlanta or whoever down the road, the Raiders, the Giants might be a pretty toughened up unit by then, provided that they physically and mentally survive the gauntlet. But yeah, that's my pet peeve. Let's look at who teams play sometimes and use that to actually analyze how they're doing, not just look at numbers in a vacuum.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it. Yeah.
Well, the Giants, I hope they don't turn into last year's version of the Lions, where they do make a late season run. Everyone's like, oh, beware of the Giants. And then they fall a couple games short of the postseason.
More than likely that will happen if they make a run.
I don't know, man. They got so many tough games looking at the schedule. Again, it's a long season. You don't know what's going to happen with these teams when you play them. But in looking at that, yeah, if they lose to Seattle, then I don't know, man. Throw the towel in, because then you got Miami and Buffalo. But then you got the Commanders at home, and then the Jets. The Jets will somehow. They'll bring, I don't know, they'll pick up Brett Favre or some shit like that the week before they play the Giants. And we'll be dealing with we think we're getting Zach Wilson or Boyle, whoever else you got over there, Novak. Bob Sacamano will be playing quarterback, and the weeks before that. And all of a sudden we'll be dealing with Favre or something. Someone will come out of retirement, or Rodgers will somehow and here comes Aaron Rodgers with the medical miracle.
Magic.
Ladies and gentlemen, Drew Brees coming off the bench for the Jets.
Right. It'll be like Brees. It'll be someone it'll be a future Hall of Famer that comes out of retirement just for that, just at the week before they play the Giants. That's what will happen.
Eli's in the building.
He is?
I could see him making a trade by then. You could see them playing Tannehill or Cousins or someone like that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that could happen. And
that's because that's
their first game against the Giants after
there's 4 games between now and then, and we're not going to see a beat up, demoralized Zach Wilson and the team.
He won't make it past this.
You're not going 4 more games, so we're not getting him. We're getting somebody
yes.
that will be trouble.
Sure.
It will.
Yes.
I promise you that, Novak. That's my promise to you. You will not be dealing with Zach Wilson, but it's going to be obviously somebody at a minimum that by that week. So that's 4 more games. So it'll be long before that.
Cardone, pet peeve?
Yeah, I mean, I have a bunch, but I'll save a couple for even next week. One of them's revolving around, Fields, but I think, one thing about Justin Fields, guys, it's almost, we were so right about Fields that I'm already almost bored with ourselves in terms of how right we were.
It's
really almost boring.
The shit out of this dead horse.
I know. It's almost boring at that point. So that's why I'm not even going to bring it up, because it's just beating a dead horse. So I'm not even, that's all I'm going to say about that one. I thought about that. I was laughing to myself. I'm like, I'm actually bored with how right we were. So anyway, 2 things. There's a front end and a back end with this one. It's actually about the Kansas City Chiefs. And the reason I'm bringing them up, it's not them, it's the media, of course. Before the Chicago Bear game this week, I heard for several days that the Chiefs need to get back on track. What's wrong with the Chiefs offense? What's wrong with Mahomes? Where's Kelsey? All this bullshit about the fuck. This is a team that's gone to the AFC Championship game 5 consecutive years, have appeared in the Super Bowl 3 times, winning 2 fucking championships. What fucking track are they off that I got to be concerned about? What's wrong with Kansas City? And get them back on track, and what the hell's going on? And they don't look like the same Chiefs as they lost a a tight game to a very up-and-coming Detroit Lion team that was supposed to be in that game, and then they only put up 17 points. I'm talking about just the offense here, guys, against the Jags, who were supposed to have a decent defense, and although they just got lit up by Houston, so we don't know what to make of that. So I guess they limped. I heard the word limped, I think, at one point in the week into a home game against what should be, offensive breakout, so they can get back on track against the Chicago Bears. And obviously they did that because the Bears are pathetic. They're actually worse than the Giants and the Jets. I think the Bears are probably the worst team in the league, both sides of the ball. So going into the game, I can't stand that one where I had to be concerned about the Kansas City Chief being off track. This is a get back on track, get healthy game, get right game. And then after they demolished the Bears, sure enough, I heard it today. We're like, man, back to usual for the Kansas City Chiefs. They got back on track. I'm like, there it is. I had to hear it from someone. They had to get back on track, and then they did get back on track. What fucking track are they off? Have you watched the Giants and the Jets?
Yeah.
I'll take that track. I'd gladly be on that track.
Yeah.
If that's the bad track or that's something I'll sign up for that right now. Give me. Can you imagine going to 5 straight championship games? 3 Super Bowls, winning 2 of them, and we got to worry about that they were again, teams. The fact that they are the Super Bowl champions, this is what the oxymoron and the analytics, these assholes, they can't figure out. Don't you think then teams that are playing the Chiefs, don't you think they rise up? And they're playing the Super Bowl champions. They always say the proverbial target on that team's back. They're going to get everyone's best game. Well, that's what they're getting then. So are they going to hang a 40-50 burger every week? It drives me nuts, guys. So I heard
there's something wrong.
Right. So the teams maybe are trying to give them their best game because they know they're the team to beat. Whatever they're the benchmark and the measuring stick, certainly in the AFC or really across the entire NFL. They're the Super Bowl champions. So teams are going to bring their best game. So they're not just going to be blowing people out, a la, of course the Bears, but they will blow out the Jets this week at Novak. So we know that.
Yes, of course.
So, so unfortunate for you, Novak. They got back on track this week. They will stay on track. Thank God for anyone who was worried about the Kansas City offense like myself, because I was terrified about the Kansas City offense up until this week. Thank God they got back on track.
Oh man, I was losing sleep. You know what the best part of that rant is, Cardone? Is I think it goes back, it harkens back to like my original pet peeve in season 1, which was just that, the media spends the week telling us how Kansas City's not playing well, right? Mm-hmm. And then Kansas City goes out and plays well, and the media comes on TV and laughs at us for dismissing Kansas City.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't dismiss them. We sat here and listened to you dismiss them for the week. And then they come out afterward, they're like, oh, everyone who I think the reports of Kansas City's demise have been a little exaggerated. I didn't make the fucking report.
Right.
You did.
It drives me nuts.
It's so true.
That actually dovetails nicely into my pet peeve because there was a sequence this weekend and I saw it. My neighbor saw it. My neighbor Keith, that you guys met at Mulligan's last year, he saw it, and Andrew Siciliano saw it too. So there was a block of commercials during one segment that was all Travis Kelce. It was like a Pfizer commercial. There was another commercial. There were 3 commercials in a row. I think one of them was the NFL commercial about, hey, we gotta, we're doing the script, and all of that. And it's Kelce all over the place. Now, Travis Kelce is a great player. The Chiefs have been a prominent team, obviously, for years now. I just don't know how I go through a whole entire commercial break. I don't think I've ever been through a commercial break where the same person's been at a commercial 3 times in a row.
Are you sure you didn't see Gronk doing USAA or whatever that one is?
Well, even Gronk. I mean, Gronk has done his fair share of commercials, but for some reason, Kelce back to back, and he's even there doing the Pfizer commercial, telling us to get the shot for COVID or something.
Oh, the double up thing or whatever.
Double up thing, yeah.
Well, if you're so right, it's very funny, and it's only going to be, so much more now because of this stupid Taylor Swift thing.
Keith the beef jerky guy?
What's that?
Was Keith the beef jerky guy?
Yeah, Keith was beef jerky guy.
That's
yeah,
good
Buddy's jerky.
Yeah, it's good jerky, man. I enjoy it. So
So we did-
I always love that Gronk commercial, Novak, because it's a product he can't even use.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's
Right.
only for military, active and former military. Yeah.
Talk about beating a dead horse. They beat that commercial to death for years.
And he also did the one Tide Pods.
I mean, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
So you're right. Yeah. For some reason, tight ends have cornered the market on commercials lately. So, we did have one question. So, and this is funny. It sort of turned the tables. It came from a Jet fan of ours, Ogre, that I know, and he actually posed this to Brian Peacock. So we cannot get an answer to this question.
But wait till next week.
But he asked them if Dallas did get exposed as frauds who can only beat unprepared teams from New Jersey.
New Jersey.
So it's funny to see not us throw shade on Brian Peacock, but a Jet fan who is one of our listeners throwing
Brian's going to need his own
shade on him.
podcast. He's getting questions through our podcast now.
I don't know this Ogre dude, but I like him. I'll just say that.
The Ogre from Alpha Beta, right? He was-
Yeah.
Nerds.
But he's right. I think we have exposed the Cowboys, right? Fuck the Cowboys. No one likes the Cowboys.
Between them and prime time getting exposed, it's been a tough
fine.
week for the media darlings.
Hey, I called that one a couple weeks ago. That was my pet peeve. What they've done with Deion Sanders is ridiculous. They're going to come crashing back down to earth and play in the Boca Raton Bowl.
Wouldn't that be great? Nothing like
The
a
Del
slice of
Boca
humble
Vista
pie.
Bowl.
The Del Boca
Yeah.
Vista Bowl.
Del Boca Vista.
The,
We're gonna be all over the shuffleboard court.
the winner gets a marble rye. You guys got anything else this week?
I have to take my Justin Fields shot of the week. I'm sorry. I know it's boring, but I have to.
Do it.
So I went and looked at who Justin Fields' backup is. I was just curious.
It's Nathan Peterman, right?
Yeah, because I don't know if you guys saw, but Justin's teammates care more about him than the Bears do. I don't know if Justin was obviously concussed. He got hit, like his helmet was sideways. He's kind of walking toward one bench, and DJ Moore came and grabbed him and took him to the sideline because he was trying to get back to the huddle. And so one play, he's out, and he's back in the next play. I'm sure DJ Moore's like, can I get? My wife was like, that was really nice of him to help him out of the game. And I said, he wants a real quarterback in there. DJ Moore's like, give me someone who can throw the ball. But
he was concussed too, no doubt.
Yes, there's no question. Even though he came back in and did manage a touchdown pass. But so this is another reason the Bears organization is trapped by Justin Fields. They can't have a viable backup because they know, the coaches of this team know that he stinks, but they're locked into him because it's who management wants. And they know if I have a guy in there who can play, the media and the fans are going to go bananas to get that person in the game.
Sounds eerily similar.
Yeah. Yeah. To the Zach Wilson. Yeah.
Yes.
I felt really bad for you, Novak, when I saw Saleh come out and the reporter's like, are you going to bring someone in? And he's like, it's got like his head in his hands. And he's like, no, Zach's fine.
We believe in Zach.
It was such the obvious, I'm meaning exactly the opposite of what I'm saying. He's like, Zach's fine. Then he's like, listen, all right, of the people that are here, Zach gives us the best chance to win the game. I'm like, that is a glowing recommendation of your quarterback there. That's awesome.
Well, Mike, now that you brought up Justin Fields, I think Cardone had stats from Justin Fields that he gave before the pod started.
I do have one.
Let's get the stat line.
So yesterday, this was Justin Fields. That was his 5th career game with under 100 passing yards as a starter. Obviously, the most in the NFL since the start of the 21 season, which was his rookie year, right? So he's in his 3rd year. So that's 2 seasons and 3 games. And this jackoff has thrown for less than 100 yards already 5 times. That doesn't include the games he had 110 yards, 125.
Yeah.
You know there's a ton of those, right?
Yeah.
So
the
this
108s.
Yeah. 5th career game. By the way, actually, I have one more, Scott. If you don't mind, if I can squeeze it in, because I can't help it with this Justin Fields. I'm addicted to this stuff. I got so our buddy Lowe sent me this earlier today. He goes, "Hey man, use this on the pod tonight." Where would you guys put Mitch Trubisky in terms of quarterback futility, or the most unlegendary kind of quarterback? He's probably in that list, right?
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky.
Well, he was run out of town for Fields.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So through 27 career starts, that's where Justin Fields sits right now, right? Actually now 28, I think, because he's now 5-23, counting yesterday's loss. So nonetheless, through 27 career starts, Mitch Trubisky, 63% completion. Fields, 59. Trubisky, over 5,600 passing yards. Fields, 4,400. Severely behind by 1,200s. Obviously, Fields has more rushing yards. Who gives a shit about that? He's a quarterback. They both have 36 passing touchdowns. Fields has 5 more turnovers, 31-26. And Trubisky's passer rating is 7 points higher, 86-79 of Fields through 27 career starts. So this is what Justin Fields is pumping out there. Mm-hmm. And this is through 27 career starts. He is historically feeble, weak, whatever. It's like he's like Ukraine. Ukraine is a sitting duck. Newman, I got to put the hurt on Ukraine. It's feeble. He's weak. Called Fields weak. Hey, buddy, we're playing a game here. You think Fields is a game to you? We all remember the game of Risk on the subway between Newman and Kramer. That's what it's like. But now we highlighted this already next week. So now we're already we said we wouldn't do this. Or I said I wouldn't do this tonight, but here we go with Fields. Now all of a sudden the media is backpedaling to the point on Fields, where again they're gaslighting us to say, "Oh, you thought Justin Fields was a good quarterback? You're an asshole, Cardone. He sucks."
Yep.
What? We were saying that. What do you mean? Yep. No. I don't think so, buddy. You thought? No. We were the ones who said he sucked.
I heard a guy end his analysis with the sentence, "That's why I've always felt," and I was like, "Stop it, stop it." I don't even remember who that was, but I said I'm not going to go pull receipts on this guy, but I know I could. I know they're out there.
I had to hear one more time about Fields. Well, he's got great arm strength, so I just don't understand. So I started. Why is it that any quarterback who can't throw a fucking ball to hit the side of a fucking barn gets the tag? Well, he's got great arm strength. They all have great arm strength. Every NFL quarterback can throw the ball 60, 70 yards. What fucking different? What good does it do if you can't get it anywhere near your intended target? What's the difference between that and the when you see the long drive championship in golf, these guys that hit the ball 450? Well, why aren't these guys on the PGA Tour? Because they fucking hit the ball into a lake and the tree. They can't hit the fucking ball straight. What good is it if you're hitting the ball 400 yards? What good is it if Fields can throw the fucking ball? They used to say that about Mike Vick and Randall Cunningham and all these fucking guys that can't throw the fucking ball. What good is it? A major league pitcher. This guy can throw 103 miles an hour. Who gives a shit if he can't locate it? What better example than Rick Ankiel or fucking Wild Thing, Charlie Sheen on fucking the major league? Guy throws 100 plus. Doesn't matter. He's throwing it up into the fucking screen. If you can't locate it, why? But we do it in every other sport, especially pitching and baseball. If a guy can't locate anything, he's out of the league by spring training. I had to hear Fields today. He's got a great arm strength. What the fuck does that mean in the NFL? Who cares? If you can't come near your intended target, what does it matter how hard you can throw the ball, how far you can throw the ball? If you can't get anywhere near, it's unbelievable.
We almost got through the whole pod. Cardone and I couldn't help it. We had to
couldn't help it. Because I think it was Orlovsky again. That wasn't I don't know who it was. It was one of them. He's got really good arm strength. I don't understand. What don't you understand?
Well, that's this phony confusion right now. This is what's driving me nuts. I mean, I saw Rex Ryan the other day. I don't understand. I don't get it with Justin Fields. Why can't he be better? And it's like, you're a liar. You are a damn liar. You know why he sucks. You know why he does. He can't throw the ball.
Exactly.
Just say it. You can say it.
Damien Woody had the nerve today on Get Up or First Take, whatever the fuck show he's on, and said they were, again, ripping apart Fields a little bit. The conversation got to it, and Damien Woody just decides, I'm tired of talking about Justin Fields. I want to talk about the Chicago Bear defense. Was that right, Mr. Woody?
Oh, okay.
Like, I tell you, I got news for you.
You weren't tired of talking about him when you thought he was going to be the MVP of the league.
He's tired of talking about Justin Fields. Now you are, Mr. Woody, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I got news for you, pal. There's 14 more fucking weeks, so you're going to be talking about Justin Fields because we're 3 games into a 17-game season, and then unless they bench, trade, or cut his ass, we're going to be talking about him, dude. And I'm going to be talking about him on this pod. I am not going to relent on this. I'm not. This is if the Giants lose every game the rest of the year, the only thing that will make me happy is if Justin Fields continues to just implode his career, which we predicted, and has been predicted this guy wouldn't even be in the league.
we did almost make it all the way through it, guys. That was fantastic.
Scott's like, you have anything else? I'm like, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. I guess.
No, like Columbo. There was one more thing.
We're gonna have a bunch of people that drop off as soon as I say, hey, you got anything else? They're like, pod's over.
That one's over.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't even know where that just came from. I just thought it's like the long drive championship. Why is this guy not? Because the guy's just spraying the ball all over the place. I don't know where it's gonna go.
Listen, I mean, the people who then say, oh, but you have to account for his rushing. His game is his rushing. And I heard this week a bunch of people say the Bears have stopped calling designed runs for him. And I'm like, he's a quarterback. You have a quarterback who can't throw the ball. And now people aren't even trying to say, they're not even trying to say he needs to get his passing game a little bit better, which is what they said when the season started, right? Needs to elevate the passing game a little bit. That's what they all said coming into the year. But now they don't even talk about like that. Like that can't happen. Now we just have to forget that quarterbacks are supposed to throw the ball and award Justin a trophy because he can run. Sorry.
So we are the 3 Giant fans and a Jet fan with our Jet fan Novak. Hit us up at angry_3. Send us in questions. Send us in any comments. We'll get to them. We answer all questions that come in, even ones that we find offensive and we don't really want to answer. We will do it. So till next week, we'll be back with the recaps of the Seattle game. We'll be back with recaps of the Chiefs game, and we will shake it off for this episode. So take care, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
See you.
Bye, buddy.
See you later.